There's a lot of concepts, I think, that are derived from the experience of hiking and being in nature that can be applicable to people's lived experience. It is a mindfulness practice for me. It's not sitting meditation, but it's walking, it's hiking meditation. It's kind of unplug from the stressors, the wars, the atrocities, everything else, come back home to ourselves so that we can go back into the world and approach those things from hopefully a bit more of a restored place.
Do you have any kind of nature insights that you feel comfortable sharing?
One that frequently comes up for clients of mine is just this idea of, geez, I thought I was making progress and then I regressed, or, I'm not moving fast enough, or those kinds of things, right? And so even the idea of switchbacks that, it can seem like it's taking forever because we're not going straight up the hill and, exasperated and challenging as that may be, we're taking a longer way going up these cross diagonal switchbacks to the summit. And it feel like we're taking forever. Or in a lot of summits, there's moments of decline where you're losing, elevation that you just gained, and it can feel like you're starting over. But recognizing that we're not at the trailhead, we're progressing towards our destination, and giving ourselves some space and permission to pace ourselves, to not have to go at the fastest pace possible and then bonk out at the summit and not be able to return. There's a lot of concepts, I think, that are derived from the experience of hiking and being in nature that can be applicable to people's lived experience.
There's something really like mindful about that, right?
Yeah.
And how we preserve our energy, how we expend our energy.
And I think that concept of mindfulness is great too, right? Because such an essential component of mindfulness is connecting to the present. And one way of doing that is through our five senses. And what a great opportunity when you're out there smelling different aromas and touching things and feeling the crunch beneath our feet. Or I like to go, at first light and being in the dark and seeing the stars and then seeing the light and then seeing the sunrise and seeing how it casts different shadows across the mountains as I hike. It is a mindfulness practice for me. It's not sitting meditation, but it's walking, it's hiking meditation. It's immersing in nature mindfulness practice, which can really help in moments like today when we need to kind of unplug from the stressors, the wars, the atrocities, everything else, come back home to ourselves so that we can go back into the world and approach those things from hopefully a bit more of a restored place.
I know from watching your videos that nature walks, being in nature, mindful hikes are a big part of your own self-care, but now you're bringing that work to a wider audience. So can you say more about how you brought that into your practice and also about living more fully?
It's been sort of a lifelong passion of mine, immersing myself in nature. Like the joke my mom and I had for the longest time was, I would go to summer camp. Before digital cameras were around, you have to get the photographs developed, right? And she would develop the camera, the film, and they'd all be of nature. She's like, where are the people? And I'm like, I just want to take pictures of nature. It's gorgeous out there. So that's kind of where it originated. Just this last year, I was like, let me blend sort of a guided meditation with filming my hikes and bridge my two loves, the love of nature and hiking and backpacking and the love of psychology and transformation. And it just felt like the right combination. And so I've been learning and, evolving and hopefully improving, and hopefully will continue, but it's been really fun.
Yeah, you're kind of touching on this on my next question, which is, why does being in nature matter?
Well, it's going back to our roots, I think, in many ways. It's, there's certainly been lots of scientific research to study that, like, for example, someone in a hospital bed, if they're watching even on the TV, inspirational nature scenes or whatever else, that it can calm the nervous system naturally. It can help people heal faster. There's just so many different benefits. It can increase our serotonin levels, our endorphins, as we're getting our heart rate up. It can help us slow down, reconnect. It doesn't require reaching a summit to experience these things. It literally, sometimes I just go to the local park, lay on the grass, feel the grass beneath me, look up at the blue sky or cloudy sky or foggy sky or whatever it is, and breathe it in and be as present in that moment as possible, you know.
Yeah. Can you say more about your channel and your practice living more fully?
So yeah, just this concept of not just like surviving, but actually thriving and learning the difference, and making that transition is really, really important for me in my own life, as I've, like I said, gone from self-hatred to self-compassion and even self-love, not 24/7, but enough of the time. So that's kind of the inspiration behind that concept. Yeah, and as it relates to my YouTube channel, it made sense to do these guided meditations on various different principles, using the concept of immersion in nature, and hopefully it's less boring than just a still picture on a screen with someone doing an audio, of a guided meditation. So for some people that want that.
Yeah, what I get from your work, it just feels more, and your videos when you're in nature, it there's like a spiritual quality to it versus like a cerebral quality, and I think we're so cerebraled out. And there is something about being in nature that I think it's hard to be cerebral when you're in nature, right?
Yeah.
Because nature just is.
Yeah, yeah. I can't tell you how many. Virtually every hike I do, there's at least one moment where I just spontaneously go, wow, audibly, just whatever it is, the particular moment or scene. It's surprising. I don't know why, because I always have it.
Mhm.
I love it. So yeah, yeah, I think it does help to connect the body with the mind, with the spirit in ways that are very unique. And this year it's even further. Like I summited Mount Whitney just this past Saturday for the third consecutive year. And this year I took 2 extra hours out there. I was out there 17 and a half hours.
Wow.
And I wanted to take longer, one, to pace myself differently and enjoy it more and suffer less. It was still challenging. But two, to really stop and breathe and take it in and let it be transformative in ways that it wouldn't be for me. Maybe it would be for someone else, trying to do it as quickly as possible. But for me, I needed to slow down and really absorb it to feel all the nutrients that it had to provide. So,
But that connection to yourself and knowing what you want and need and what you pace yourself, there's just something so that feels so radical about it, because it's something a lot of us don't do in our everyday lives.
Yeah. It's a great practice. It really, and it does take practice. It doesn't necessarily happen automatically. You can't expect to go out for the first time on a hike and have a life-altering experience. You might, but it really is about being curious about our own internal experience. It's about being mindful and present. It's about noticing when our mind goes elsewhere and maybe bringing it back to the trail or letting it go where it needs to go in that moment in time. Sometimes people use it to work through writing or books or projects or whatever else, and so there's lots of ways of doing it. But I think the practice for me is really listening to the wisdom of my body in terms of pacing, in terms of fuel, hydration, pack weight, destination. Do I need to pivot? The weather changed. There's smoke in the air quality differences. There was a recent hike that I took to Kelp Cloud's Rest in Yosemite.
Mm.
planned on pitching my tent near Half Dome the next morning, that night to summit the next morning. And I was like, you know what? I'm exhausted. I don't want
Mm.
to do
Mm.
Half Dome, and I need enough fuel and energy to get back to the trailhead. And so, I could have seen that as a failure, but I was like, no, it's a success because I was listening to my needs and what my body was telling me. And I had gorgeous 360 views from the summit of Cloud's Rest. What am I complaining about? I'll do Half Dome a different time.
That's what I love about what you're doing and just nature in general. It has its own pace.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Mm-hmm.
not competing with anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Its own pace, its own rhythm. Seasons can change the same trails we've been on many times, lighting, weather. It's really utilizing whatever experiences we have in the present moment to do that kind of internal work, to be kinder, to become our own best friend, or at least a better friend to ourselves.